My view is that the best way to learn a software programming language is to read the official language specification a few times than to actually practice writing code in the language, then executing and testing the code as much as you can. The Ruby language was invented and is developed by a Japanese software engineer and has no official language specification in English. However, enough references are available at ruby-lang.org/en/documentation for learning the Ruby software programming language. This is my Ruby language usage overview. This is a very simple presentation. I might add additional content later. Instead of going over the details that are already in the official language specification, I present only the Ruby language construct and usage technique outline that I keep in mind when I write code in the Ruby software programming language. As a software code writer, in and every software programming language, you always use a very limited number of different types of software code constructs, and you use a very limited number of software programming language usage techniques. I review and keep in mind the following Ruby language constructs and usage techniques when I write a software program in Ruby. Splitting Ruby code into multiple files, declaring and using data variables in Ruby, declaring and using functions in Ruby, declaring and using classes in Ruby, writing expressions in Ruby, writing statements in Ruby, asynchronous programming in Ruby, exception handling in Ruby, writing and testing and debugging code in Ruby, documenting Ruby code, using network sockets, and building C extensions in Ruby. The Ruby software programming language has the following language constructs: lexicology, identifiers, comments, embedded documentation, reserved words, expressions, variables, and constants, local variables, instance variables, class variables, global variables, constant, pseudo variables, predefined variables, literals, numerics, strings, interpolation, backslash notation, the percent notation, command expansion, regular expressions, arrays, hashes, ranges, symbols, classes, class definition, instance variables, class methods, instantiation, declaring visibility, private, public, protected instance variables, inheritance, mixing in modules, Ruby class meta model, Ruby hooks, built-in classes, built-in functions, predefined variables, globals, predefined classes, object, array, class, comparable, encoding, enumerable, colon, enumerator, exception, false class, fiber, IO, file, colon, stat, GC, colon, profiler, Marshall, method, math, module class, nil class, numeric, integer, big num, fixed num, float, range, exp, regular expression, regexp, Ruby VM, string, struct, colon, TMS, symbol, time, thread, true class, operators, assignment, self-assignment, multiple assignment, conditional assignment, scope, and or not, control structures, conditional branches, if modifier, unless modifier, case, loops, while modifier, until modifier, for, in, break, redo, next, retry, exception handling, raise, begin, rescue modifier, miscellaneous, returning method, super iterators, yield, unit testing, Ruby doc, rake, Ruby gems, running multiple processes, using network sockets, building C extensions, and embedding Ruby within a separate C program. For more info on the aforementioned Ruby language construct and usage techniques, refer to one or more of the Ruby language references that I mentioned earlier.